Welcome back to Unlocking Academic English Vocabulary. My name is Darcy. This is lesson 4. This is the third lesson of the second part of the multi-part lesson series that can assist independent learners of English improve their accumulation and understanding of academic vocabulary through the study of the structure of words. If you're coming into this video for the first time, you should go back to the very first video to get a complete understanding of what we will be covering, and continue to watch all of the older videos before watching this one to get the best benefit from it. In the interest of time, we will not be reviewing previously covered information. So if you're a new viewer, go back to the older videos and watch them after you've watched this one or before to get the most benefit from this video. Now, the material presented in these lessons is advanced. However, do not let that discourage you from watching. You should pause these videos as needed and rewatch these videos again and again until you feel that you are comfortable continuing on. This is a lesson series dedicated to developing your vocabulary, and thus as we go through the lesson series or any of the other videos presented on this channel that have been provided here, it is strongly advised that you watch with a pen and paper at the ready to take note of new words as you encounter them. If you have any questions or you would like to leave a comment, feel free to leave a comment on this channel or message me if you would like more information. I can provide downloadable materials for you, and we can arrange for our free one-to-one private consultation. So, as we progress in our study of the structure of words, we will begin to see more similarities and patterns found in certain kinds of words. The words presented in this lesson series have been chosen to demonstrate this kind of quality. Unfortunately, there's not enough time here for us to extensively cover all of the examples. Hopefully, while watching these videos, you will become more attentive to all of the words presented, not just the ones that we are defining and discussing. Try to notice what kinds of prefixes come up most commonly. In our study of prefixes, we will oftentimes be defining the root word and then comparing the root word to the prefixed word to notice how the prefix modifies that word. Sometimes we will be applying different prefixes to the same root word in order to make those kinds of comparisons. Before continuing any further, we should further clarify what prefixes are. So, quoting from the freedictionary.com, prefixes are morphemes that are specific groups of letters with a particular semantic meaning that are added onto the beginning of roots and base words to change their meaning. Prefixes are one of the two predominant kinds of affixes. The other kind is suffixes, which come at the end of the root word. Unlike suffixes, which can be either inflectional, changing only the grammatical function of the word without changing its basic meaning, or derivational, creating a word with an entirely new meaning, prefixes can only be derivational. Adding a prefix always changes the basic meaning of the word. Prefixes generally do not affect the spelling of the root word to which they are attached. They are simply placed immediately before the word without a space, although sometimes there may be attached a hyphen. However, a root word's spelling does not change with a prefix. We do sometimes have to alter the prefix itself depending on the spelling of the word it precedes. For example, the prefix a becomes an when coming before the vowel. The prefix in, meanwhile, can change to ig if it is placed before an n, il before an l, im before a b, m, or p, or ir before an r. In addition, many prefixes are only able or tend to attach to certain parts of speech. For example, the prefix un, which means not, generally only attaches to adjectives, as in unhappy or uncomfortable. When un means to do the opposite of, then it attaches to verbs, as in uncork or unlock. Attaching un to a root noun, on the other hand, is usually not done. So rather than saying unhuman and unbelief, we would have to say non-human and disbelief. Many prefixes will attach to both existing English base words as well as roots derived from foreign stems. Parts of longer words that are used to form combinations, most often Latin or Greek. When defining different prefixes, a distinction is sometimes made between true prefixes and combining forms of words. The precise definition of one compared to the other is not often clear, and thus, depending on the source, the distinction between the two is often inconsistent or contradictory. The simplest explanation tends to be that the prefix can only attach to a base word, an English word that can be used on its own without a prefix or suffix, while a combining form is an adaptation of a larger word, typically Greek or Latin, that only attaches to another combining form, meaning neither element cannot stand on its own as an independent word. What complicates the distinction is the fact that a morpheme could be considered a prefix in one instance and a combining form in another. So to summarize what all of that says, number one, prefixes are morphemes. A morpheme is a part of a word that serves a particular function. 2. Prefixes are added to the beginning of the word. 3. Prefixes are derivational morphemes. That is, they change the meaning of the word. 4. Prefixes may change in spelling slightly to accord with other rules of spelling and pronunciation to fit the Greek word. 5. Spellings can change over time due to the nature of evolving human language systems. 6. Prefixes can be and are added to modern English words, and this is often clearly seen. 7. Prefixes have been added to foreign word stems such as Latin, Greek, Old English, and French, which can make the distinction between the prefix from the root word less discernible. Let's talk about combining forms. Combining forms differ from prefixes and suffixes in that they are shortened versions of other words, combined with other combining forms. And there is some room for disagreement over whether or not certain affixes in certain words are proper prefixes or combining forms. In this lesson series, great care has been taken to exclude examples of words containing combining forms. We will return to the topic of combining forms when we conduct our survey of root words. To give you a clearer understanding of how prefixes differ from combining forms now, however, we can simply look to scientific and medical terminology. Terminology. Logi. This combining form here is used at the end of a combining form, and it denotes the subject of study. Bio is used at the beginning of a combining form, and it relates to life. So biology, therefore, is the study of living organisms. The total amount of words containing or ending in logi is in dispute, as anything and everything can be made into the subject of study. Here are some examples: microbiology, virology, pathology, bacteriology, immunology, zoology, physiology, ontology, epidemiology, neurology, cardiology, all medical sciences here, sociology, archaeology, psychology, social studies, geology, hydrology, natural sciences, technology, and cosmology, and terminology. So likewise, bio is combined to form a growing number of words. For example, biochemical, biometric, biodiversity, biography, biohazard, bionics, biomass, biopsy, etc. So this bio is not it's not a prefix. It is a combining form. Okay, now in this lesson, we will be looking at prefixes beginning with the letter D, as in deceive, detect, deduce, deduct, dilemma, divide, diversity, divergence, diagnosis, diagonal, dialogue, diffuse, difference, difficulty, disappear, discover, disease, and distinguish. So the first word here is deceive. In the previous lesson, we looked at the word conceive, which we defined as meaning to create, as in to create or imagine an idea, to conceive of an idea. The prefix co or con was taken to mean together with. Thus, we can think of D as meaning reversal. In other words, a deception is a lie, something that is created by someone in word or deed with bad intent. The definition of the word deceive is to cause another to believe in something that is not true. One can also deceive oneself by choosing to act in a way that is harmful to oneself or goes against one's higher conscience. Detect. A detective is a person who investigates and solves crimes. There are detectives who work for the state, such as police detectives, as well as private detectives who can be hired by individuals or corporations. The job of the detective is to collect evidence of a crime for the purposes of apprehending the perpetrator, the criminal. Now we can look at a related example, protect. Protect means to keep safe from harm. Imagine putting up a shield in front of you. So the root word is cover. D being the reversal, therefore, means to remove the covering. Detect means to uncover. As a verb, detect can be used to mean watching to identify someone or something. A wanted person can be detected by public security cameras. Homes can be equipped with smoke detectors to sound an alarm if the presence of heavy smoke is detected in the air, as a means of fire prevention. The next word is deduce. Deduce means to arrive at a conclusion through reasoning. In other words, through consideration and analysis of facts. One can deduce or infer a scientific truth, for example, the law of gravity. When we change the prefix to pro, again, we can start to infer or deduce the meaning of the root word. Produce means to make or manufacture. Deduce means to distill or take away. A product is a thing that is made. A deduction is a thing that is taken away. The word deduct is closely related to the word deduce. Historically, these two words were one and the same. In the modern day, deduct simply means to take away. Deduce means to reason and come to a conclusion through consideration, observation, and analysis. So deduction and reduction are very close in meaning because D and re, the prefixes D and re, can both mean reversal. Moving on to prefix di, dilemma. the prefix di can have a different meaning twice. We see instances of this kind of meaning in the next two examples. A dilemma is a difficult kind of choice. The root word lemma on its own means a statement. A lemma, typically used in logic, linguistics, and mathematics, etc., is one that lends proof to another statement. One encounters a dilemma, a situation in the real world when any choice can lead to negative results. For example, the owner of a business is faced with a dilemma when the time comes to reduce company expenditures. Commonly, the owner will choose to lay off workers. It's a difficult dilemma. Who to lay off from which department? How to keep the business profitable while cutting sometimes essential parts of the business. Divide. The second example is divide. It means to break or separate into parts. An even number, for example, is one that can be divided by 2, whereby the quotient is a whole number. So 4 divided by 2 is an even number. 2, 6, 3, 8, 4, and so on. They can be evenly divided. Compare even numbers with prime numbers. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13. These are said to be indivisible numbers. They cannot be divided by any other number other than 1 and themselves to reach a whole number quotient. So these are examples of indivisible words. The division is the separation line. As in the Earth's equator is the dividing line separating the globe into 2 hemispheres, north and south. Diversity. We can see derivatives of divide in examples such as diversity and divergence. Biodiversity is the existence of a wide range of different living organisms in an ecosystem. So what we see is the prefix di means apart. Divergence. Through generations of selective breedings of dogs, we can see the gradual divergence of genetic attributes. Today, dogs come in all shapes and sizes. Divergence means differentiation, separation, and division. The opposite of divergence is convergence, the coming together of things. The prefix dia can have a similar meaning to di, meaning two, in that it also means apart or through. So a diagnosis is something an expert, such as a doctor, provides to a patient. After performing a medical examination or diagnostic test, the doctor can correctly identify the cause of the disease. Diagnosis. Gnosis is the Latin term for knowledge. Dia, meaning through, combined with gnosis, gives us diagnosis, the knowledge that comes through having expertise. A diagonal line is the straight line connecting the 2 opposite corners of a right-angled shape, such as a square. Here we see how the prefix dia combines with the root angle. It literally means the line that runs from angle to angle. A dialogue is the conversation between 2 people. The Greek word for speech was logos. Dia combined with logos therefore means through speech, a conversation, communication. Now we are looking at words beginning with the prefix dif, D-I-F. Dif is a variant of dis, which also is similar in meaning to the prefix di, discussed. Dif and dis and sometimes di mean reversal or negation. Diffuse is an adjective or verb. It means to pour out. If a drop of black ink were dropped into a glass of clear water, it would produce a diffuse mixture. The clarity of the water would become darkened. The pure blackness of the ink, however, would be diffuse because there is less ink in proportion with the water mixture. We could say that standing under the shade of a tree is what gives the shade. Standing under the branches of a tree is what gives the shade. The branches diffuse the light, and therefore it feels less hot under the shade of a tree. The tree branches and leaves are diffusing the light. Difference. The adjective of the word differ, different, again means to separate. The difference between apples and oranges exists in color, texture, and taste, for example. A conference, compare the word difference with conference. A conference is the meeting of people for the purposes of exchanging ideas and opinions to arrive at shared knowledge and understanding. To confer means to agree with another. Difficult. To understand the meaning of the word difficult, we need to look at the root word. We get the modern word faculty from the same root word present in this word, difficult. So to have faculty in something means to have an ability to do something easily or well. The original root word meant to do or make. Having the faculty of sight, for example, is having the ability to see. Because the prefix diff is the reversal or negation, therefore, the meaning of difficulty is not having the ability to do the task. The task is difficult. One has difficulty completing the task. Disappear. Similar to diffuse, disappear means to vanish from sight. The root word appear means to come into sight. So the sun disappears over the horizon. Discover. Discover is very similar in meaning to detect. It means to uncover. The difference is that to detect something is to uncover and identify the thing one is seeking after. For example, the perpetrator of the crime. Discover, by contrast, is to uncover something new and unknown. Scientific discovery occurs when something hitherto unknown and not well understood has been observed for the first time. Disease. The meaning of disease is disorder of structure or function in a human, animal, or plant, especially one that has a known cause and a distinctive group of symptoms, signs, or anatomical changes. So the state of being at ease is having the feeling of comfort and normalcy. Dis, meaning the reversal, means that the state of healthy equilibrium within the organism has been disrupted or disturbed. And finally, distinguish. The words divergent, distinct, and distinguishable are all very similar in meaning that the thing stands out. It can be sensed. To distinguish or discern with one's senses means to be able to sense. To sense light with the eyes, a frequency or familiar sound with the ears, or a pleasing taste, and so on. All right, so let's summarize what we've learned here. Deceive means to lie. Detect means to uncover. Deduce means to reach a rational conclusion through consideration, to infer. Deduct means to take away. A dilemma is a difficult choice. To divide is to separate. Diversity is a variety of different things. Divergence is the quality of having differences. Diagnosis, the result of a medical examination. Diagonal, a line connecting the opposite corners of a right-angled shape, such as a square. Dialogue is a conversation. Diffuse is to pour out. Different, the separation or dissimilarity of two or more things. Difficulty, the inability to do a task easily. Disappear, to vanish from sight. Discover is to find something new or unknown. Disease is an illness. And distinguish, to perceive something with the senses, such as sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. All right, coming up in the next lesson, we will be looking at prefixes beginning with the letter E. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to support the creation of future content, please remember to leave a like and follow the channel if you haven't already.